Friday nights used to mean packed theaters for major sequels. Yet today, those same massive franchises are struggling to break even. Hollywood is losing its grip on the global audience as films shift from cultural events into forgettable background noise. The industry is panicking because they cannot figure out why the world has stopped watching. The root of this crisis lies in a fundamental shift in how movies are funded. In the past, a studio would gamble on 20 mid-budget original films, hoping one or two would become massive hits. Today, that middle ground has completely vanished. Major studios now funnel their entire annual budget into 3 or 4 massive tentpoles, often costing upwards of $300 million each before a single cent is spent on marketing. When that much capital is on the line, the board of directors is not looking for artistic expression. They are looking for a guaranteed return on investment. This search for safety has birthed the infinite sequel loop. From a corporate perspective, the highest risk a company can take is an original idea. With an original story, you have to spend millions just to explain what the movie is and why people should care. With a franchise, half that work is already done. This is why we see the same characters recycled every 3 years. If a title has decades of brand recognition, it acts as insurance against a total box office failure. The problem is that this financial logic has replaced creative intuition. Modern producers use data analytics and historical box office trends to dictate casting and plot points before a director even enters the room. Decisions are made by spreadsheets rather than by storytellers. We are currently witnessing the death of the creative gamble. Hollywood has become so terrified of the unknown that they have backed themselves into a corner where they only know how to manufacture nostalgia. They would rather settle for a predictable profit on a 10th sequel than take a chance on a revolutionary concept that could define the next decade of cinema. Any deviation from the established brand is seen as a threat to the bottom line. This creative stagnation is fueled by the platform where most of these movies now live. In the past, a movie was an event that existed outside of your home. You had to seek it out, pay for a ticket, and sit in the dark with strangers. This physical separation created an inherent sense of prestige. Today, that barrier is gone. Most major releases are now just another thumbnail in a digital library, competing for attention with 20-minute lifestyle vlogs and infinite social media feeds. When a film is delivered through the same device you use to check your emails, it loses its power to captivate. The streaming model has fundamentally shifted industry goals from quality to volume. Platforms do not need one masterpiece. They need 5,000 hours of passable content to prevent you from hitting the cancel button. This has led to the rise of what creators call second screen cinema. These are movies designed to be moderately entertaining while you fold laundry or scroll through your phone. Because the goal is constant engagement rather than a focused artistic statement, the scripts are written to be simpler, the pacing is adjusted to be louder, and the nuance is stripped away. Even the visual language of film is regressing to accommodate mobile viewing. Cinematographers are increasingly forced to light scenes with high visibility and flat colors because they know the audience might be watching on a smartphone screen in a bright room. The deep shadows and intentional darkness of classic cinema do not translate well to a compressed stream on a cheap liquid crystal display. As a result, modern movies often look uniform and washed out. We are no longer watching films designed for the grand scale of a theater. We are watching content optimized for a pocket-sized screen. By removing the mystery of the theater, Hollywood has turned an art form into a utility. Beyond the technical shift towards streaming, there is a fundamental psychological rift between the creators and the consumers. Most modern scripts are born in a geographic and cultural vacuum. Writers' rooms in Los Angeles have become echo chambers where the lived experiences of the average person are treated as an abstraction. This creates a disconnect where filmmakers are no longer telling stories about universal human conditions, but are instead addressing a narrow set of social concerns that only exist within their specific professional circles. When creators lose that connection to common ground, they lose the ability to speak to a global audience. When the goal of a movie shifts from exploration to instruction, the narrative tension evaporates. We are seeing a pervasive trend where character development is sacrificed for moral clarity. Instead of complex, flawed protagonists who reflect our own struggles, we are given avatars for specific viewpoints. These characters often lack a genuine arc because their perfection is required by the message they represent. If a hero cannot be wrong, they can never truly grow. And if they cannot grow, the audience has no reason to invest their emotions. The stakes are removed because the resolution is mandated by the messaging rather than the internal logic of the story world. The viewer is perceptive enough to know when they are being entertained and when they are being managed. There's an increasing sense that Hollywood views its viewers as students in a classroom rather than guests at a theater. Creative choices are now frequently motivated by a desire to avoid certain online criticisms rather than a desire to take bold risks. This defensive writing style produces scripts that feel preachy and patronizing. People go to the movies to experience a sense of wonder or to see their lives reflected in a meaningful way. When that experience is replaced by a lecture, the immersion is broken. As the seats in the local multiplex grow cold, the audience has not stopped consuming stories. They have simply changed the destination. People are moving toward platforms like YouTube and TikTok, where the barrier between the creator and the consumer has all but disappeared. A single creator working from a home office can offer more genuine engagement than a $200 million studio production because they are speaking directly to a specific community. This movement toward user-generated content is driven by a desire for raw authenticity. In an era of polished corporate messaging, viewers find more value in a low-budget video about a niche hobby than in a massive blockbuster that feels like it was written by a committee. When audiences do crave the scale of a cinematic experience, they are looking toward international cinema and independent studios. The global success of films like Godzilla Minus One shows that people still want high stakes and spectacle, but they want it tied to human stories that feel earned. These productions are often successful because their limited budgets force directors to focus on strong writing and creative problem solving rather than leaning on digital effects to mask a shallow plot. This shift marks a permanent democratization of the entertainment industry. Viewers no longer have to wait for a studio executive to give them permission to be entertained. They are finding their own stories in digital spaces, where the primary goal is finally to share a vision rather than to protect the interests of a global brand. Safety, streaming, and corporate disconnect have killed the movie star. Unless studios bridge this gap with authentic stories, the era of the blockbuster is over. Thank you for watching. Tell me the last movie you actually enjoyed in a theater.